Now let's solve problem 4.11. We'll begin sketching in the top and we add all the sketches, and one by we'll extrude and extrude cut, and lastly we're going to add the holes, and then we measure the volume. So start the sketch on top plane. Here I will use midline, or you can use a rectangle tool. So this is 52. Overall length is 1110. Now let's add the fillet, or you can add a fillet later, no problem, but this is larger value I will cover in sketch. Now let's add center line. Now let's add the center point arc from here to here. I need to fix the location of this at 8. Now radius is as given 72. Let's trim additional part. Similarly, let's create one more arc from here to here. Now its dimension is 96. So let's start creating the another arc. Now this time it is of 85, but it will be of construction type, and let's remove the additional part. Now let's add the circle. So here it is having radius 14, so diameter 28. Now let's also add one vertical line. Make sure it is vertical, and let's add its location 51. So from here to here it is 51. Now let's add the center of a circle at a distance of 45. Now let's further add few more lines. Now let's add the dimension. This is given at 22. So let's trim this part. Select mirror and mirror the upper line. Now let's also add over here the slot. So let's use rectangle tool, whose dimension is given as 8, and its distance from center is given as 19. Now let's drag this, select this, control center line, another line, and make them symmetric. Now let's trim the additional part of our lines to create the proper region. Now let's add two circle whose diameter is 9. Now let's add center lines from this to this to this. Now let's add dimensions is 35. Now let this center, and center line, make them symmetric. So now let's extrude first. Now select the outer rectangle, should be blind. Now add all of these circular sections. Overall depth is 25. Now expand the sketch. Let's use the same sketch to create the cut. So press on extrude cut. This time I'll use this region. Now the problem is the sketch is exactly at the bottom. So what we are going to do is we are going to shift its location from here. And then we are going to add the depth of 8. Now let's add, along with this whole section, let's add the other part. So modify the feature and select this region, this region, this region, and this region. Click OK. Okay, I left one more region. So add this region. Okay, let's now expand again and extrude cut these two. Here, let's shift it starting condition from here. The overall dimension is, that is depth is 7 as given. So model is ready. Now let's measure the mass property. So answer is 8, 9, 4, 9 and 95. So it is perfectly correct. So model is correct. Now let's solve practice problem 4.12. We are going to create this sketch on a front plane along with the circles and will extrude by the given depth of 25. Later from the middle plane, we are going to add this circle of 85 and going to create these regions and we'll remove the material to create the model. So let's start sketching on front plane. This time I will use the center rectangle. Dimension given is 80. Now let's add the corner fillet, which is of value 7. Now let's add the circle. Now diameter is 6. Now let's add the center line, vertical as well as horizontal. Now select this, click on mirror, create mirror copy. Again select these two circles, click on mirror and select the horizontal mirror line. Now let's draw two circles. One is having of 50 millimeter diameter and second is having 70. Now let's extrude. We need to use these circles. Let's cancel this region as well as this region and right click. The reason is the larger circle can be removed. Now let's use extrude cut and this time use the larger circle. Now let's offset by 8 mm and through wall and create the cut. Now let's create the mid plane. Now let's create sketch on it. Now select this and convert into entities. So we have an outer shape. Now let's add a circle of 85 millimeter diameter. So here we need to remove the additional part. like this. Also remove the middle lines. Now let's go and click on extrude cut. Instead of one way, select the mid plane and give the distance 20. Now let's hide the plane. Now let's measure the mass property. Here it is 59730, which is completely matching with the provided solution answer. Now let's try problem 4.13. Here we'll begin sketching this section on front plane and we'll extrude by 65. And on the top, we are going to create this sketch and we'll remove the cut material by using flip cut type. So we'll have this section. Then we are going to add this radius of 1 millimeter on these shown edges and try to find the volume. So start sketch on front. Draw the circle of 50. Also 12. Now center distance is given as 100. Make sure both are aligned or just use center line to connect them so we can mirror the features. Now let's offset by 7. This time it will be reverse. Now let's add one more circle on right side having diameter 24. Now let's draw a line tangent to these two circles. Now let's mirror these. Now let's add the offset distance. Now let's remove the additional line segment. Now let's go and extrude. Right click mid plane and this is 65. Now let's go on top plane. Let's draw center line. So complete the sketch like this. Now let's add the dimensions. So this is 60. From here to here it is 100. This is typically 8 millimeter. And distance between these two it is also, it shows angular dimensions because these two lines are not parallel to each other. So let's make them parallel first. Now let's add the dimensions. It is 8. Now let's add diametral dimensions. This is 14. Now let's mirror all of this. Now let's close the region. Now let's go and create extrude cut. This time through wall and flip side cut. So here preview shows that the other material get removed. Now let's add the fillet. First we are going to add 5 millimeter radius. add the fillet. Now also we need to add, if you look at on a front side, we need to add on this edge, over here, on this, and this, and right. Now carefully compare your model, especially from fillet point of view, so that nothing is missed out. Now let's add the 1 millimeter radius. So here it is given. This is this side, this side as well, and this edge. And what we left is this part, and right click. So compare the results. Now let's find the volume. So here the answer is 38135 and the solution answer is 38349, which is little bit off, but from the other sources or reported by other users, this is the correct value of a volume. Let's solve problem 4.14. We'll draw this sketch in a front. We'll drop these holes and we'll try to extrude it. Then we'll add this boundary and we'll use the thin extrude options to create that edges. And lastly, we are going to drop these two bosses and we'll measure the volume. So let's start from front. Now let's add dimensions. Overall dimension is 39. This is 15. This is 11. This is 2. This line and this line are collinear. And this is given as 7. This is 10. 14. Now let's extrude. It is given as 2. Now let's apply the fillets. So let's add fillet of a value 3 as given. Now let's add fillet of 2. Now let's drop the circles. So open the sketch. So this is our first circle whose diameter is 2. Second circle is also in line, having diameter 3. Now distance between them is 4. Make sure the middle circle, all these circles are horizontal located. Now similarly, let's add over here. It is of 3. And this is of 2. Now let's first create the extrude cut. this circle, this circle, and this circle, and right click. Now let's use same sketch and extrude this time. I will use this, and for the height it is given as 4. Now let's open the sketch on front. Let's convert into entities so that we have a external boundaries. Now here we need to remove some of the part. So here let's split this line. So for that, type split entities. So click over here and over here. Now remove the section. Now let's make this vertical, and distance between them is given as 5. But it is not like that. So let's remove this line as well. Now here let's add distance between them 5. So let's go to extrude. It is thin features having thickness 0.25 and the depth is basically 1 mm. Make sure the thickness is inside. Now let's measure the volume. So it is 993, which is perfectly matching with the solution answer. So model is correct. Now let's solve the problem 4.15. So we'll begin sketching in front plane. We'll extrude by the given dimensions, and then we remove this middle part, this part, and lastly this part, which is horizontal, and this is vertical. Let's start from the front. This is 65. Now vertically it is, from the side view it is 41. Now let's add the circle having diameter 10, located from the top at 10 and from left side 12. Now let's add few more things. So this line is located from the top at 28 millimeter. Now let's draw one arc like this, whose radius is 60. Now make sure this is coincident. Now length of this line is given as 60. Let's remove the additional part. Now let's extrude. First we'll extrude this. We'll remove the circle. So let's talk about mid plane, and it is 80. Now let's add chamfer. The first chamfer is 5 by 45. So this is the first chamfer. Now let's talk our second chamfer, which is 21 by 35. So look at the preview. This is not correct. So let's flip this direction. So this is 21 and from that it is 35. So let's click OK. Now let's expand the first sketch and create the extrude cut. So let's select this region. Now let's select this, and blind will be 6 millimeter. Now let's again expand same sketch and reuse same region. This time it is mid plane and it is having 60. So look at very carefully. Double check the feature and sketch dimensions. Okay, now let's add over here. Now rectangle tool. Make sure it is symmetric. Now depth is 5 and it is 22. So let's go over here and extrude cut. Similarly, over here, let's draw. This is also 5. Now let's extrude and cut. Now let's measure the volume. So it is 118919, which is completely matched with the given solution answer. So our model is correct. Now let's try 4.16. We'll sketch this section in a front. We'll extrude by 41. Then we'll add the top hole along with this chamfer provided. And lastly, we are going to remove the material. So let's begin sketching in front. So let's draw circle first. Let's draw center point arc. Whose radius is given 21. So from here, let's draw like this to complete the sketch. Now let's add the overall dimensions. So from here to here, it is given as 1110. This is 45, 32. From here to here it is 50. And this angle is 55. There is a confusion. Now how to lock this? So let's delete all of this part and have a different approach. Now let's have a tangent arc. Okay. Now let's add this radius as given 10. So this is 45. So center to center distance is 1110. And this is 32. So let's cross these two lines and trim. Now let's extrude this sketch by 41. Now let's provide the cut over here by converting entities and adding a vertical line whose location from here to here is 42. Let's trim this and let's create extrude cut. it is 5 mm. Now let's create a cut over here. Let's draw the rectangle whose dimension is 12 and height is 7. Let's make this symmetric and extrude and cut. Now let's add the chamfer. So let's go chamfer tool. Now chamfer all chamfer of 3 by 45. So this side, this, and this one, and right click. Because it is 45 degree, it remains symmetric from the selected edges. So let's go and add the holes. So here it is having diameter 12. Similarly, another circle having equal diameter. Now location of this from here it is 15. Let's make sure it is horizontal. Now distance between these two circles is 50. Now let's extrude and cut. Now let's measure the volume. Here the volume is 164805, which is completely correct. Match with the solution answer. Now let's solve the problem 4.17. So we'll start from right. Then we'll create this protrusion. And lastly, we are going to add this slot. So let's try from the right side. Create overall shape. So this is 82, 24, 26, 8. Now let's draw a center line for reference purpose, which is located at 21. If you look at the top view, which is used for placing the slot. Now let's use the center line. So select this one, and this one, and make them symmetric. So let's extrude by given value is 95. So open the sketch, select these and convert entities. Now let's add the dimensions. So this is 47. This is, sorry. Now let's trim and add the dimensions. This is 71. Now let's add the sketch chamfer. It is having angle and distance, so this is 20. And right click. Now let's extrude in opposite direction by 35. Now let's also add the cut over here. So select this back surface, draw the center line, a rectangle tool, whose dimension is 13 and height is 17. Now let's make two vertical sides symmetric. Let's go and cut it. Now let's add the slot over here. Select the surface. So let's draw. Now let's add the overall distance 45. From here to here it is 23. And from here to here it is located at 21. And from here to here it is at 25. So let's offset by the provided distance of 5. Now let's go ahead and first create the cut. Let's select the region. Let's reuse same sketch again and this time extrude the region by 4 mm. Now let's measure the volume. So volume is 255293, which is correct. Now let's try problem 4.18. We will draw this shape on front plane and extrude by 20. And from the right side, we'll draw this shape and extrude. And lastly, we are going to create this cutout. So on the front plane, let's start sketching. Now overall dimension is 145. Now let's draw line of 45. So you can make it equal. Now here, let's draw circle of a diameter 15. Now let's add center point arc from here to here. Now this is going to be of 19. Now let's add center line. Let's select these two and mirror it. Now try to move this. Make sure this is tangent. Now let's add one more circle whose diameter is equal to 15. But it is located from the top at 75. And make sure it is also in line with the center line. Again, let's draw radius is 19. So from here to here, let's create a center point arc. Now let's add the line which is tangent. Similarly, let's add a tangent line. And let's trim out the additional part. Now let's go and extrude by 20. Now on right side, let's try to create a sketch. It is 33. Now let's add radius 21. Let's add circle of 21 diameter. and from here to here it is 7. So let's extrude opposite direction and up to surface is this, or you can give the distance which is 145. Let's give it 145. Now let's cut over here. Let's create center line for symmetricity. Select this, control this and this, and make sure it is symmetric. So this is 101, and from this edge to this edge it is 12. Now let's go and extrude cut. Now let's measure the mass. So mass is 337082, which is correct. So many users have reported similar answer on internet. So our model is correct. What is given in a PDF file solution is little bit different from our value, but our solution is correct. Now let's try problem 4.19. On front plane, we draw a single sketch. Then we use the thin feature of extrude and we'll drill this hole and we'll cut out this portion to find the given answer. So click on front plane. Now let's first draw center point arc. Whose radius is 23. Now let's draw a line. Now let's add overall dimensions. This is 42. From here to here it is 57. And from here to here it is 115. Okay, now let's use extrude thin feature option. Now thickness is 9 all around. We are going to apply thickness outside from the sketch. And let's go for mid plane, and overall extrusion depth is 50. Now let's add fillet. Which is of 7 radius. So there are 4 such radius. Now let's add the holes. So let's put sketch on their centers and make them equal. So this is of 8. And let's go over here and cut. Let's draw the sketch over here again. Now let's draw center line. I will use straight slot. And let's convert into entities. Let's provide the dimensions. From here to here it is 12. And from here to here it is 18. So let's remove this line and add 18 again. Now if you want to create a line over here and terminate this section, no problem. Or either you just drag and put it over here to fully define the sketch. Now let's go and extrude cut. Instead, let's go to up to next. So next surface, up to next surface, will be remove the material. Now let's add the final radii. So fillet is value is 2. So this is 1, second, and lastly third. Now let's find the volume. So it is 73407, which is completely correct. Now let's try practice problem 4.20. We'll begin with creating this base of 75, 25. Then we'll add this portion, circular portion, and the circular top protrusions. And then we'll consider the slot. And lastly, we are going to apply the radius of phi all around the edges. So let's go on top plane and draw the rectangle of 75, 125. Okay, let's make this 125 and this 75. Now let's add the slot. Now from here to here it is given as 11. Center distance is 17. Now let's draw center line. Now coincident the center point with the center line. Now let's try to mirror the slot. Now let's provide the center distance, which is 85. Now let's extrude this region by 22. Now let's create additional reference plane. Select this and this. So we have a mid plane. So select and open the sketch. Now let's draw center line first. So let's put the rectangle, circle whose diameter is given as 55. Let's add one more circle on the same center of 83 diameter. Now from here to here, center distance is given as 80. Let's drag this. Make sure center line and all are aligned. Let's make this and this symmetric. Let's trim or let's remove all of this. Now the width is 48. Alright, now let's extrude this part first. Right click, mid plane, thickness is 28. Again expand the same sketch, click on extrude. This one and this one as well. Clear? So the depth is 55 and right click. Now let's add the top part. Now let's create one more plane. Select this side and this side. So we have plane 2. Now on this plane, let's create a sketch. Again, let's start with the center line. Now let's go for hidden way. From here, let's activate the temporary axis and add the distance 45. Let's see the normal. Now make sure these two are equally located from the center. Now let's add the central radius, which is 32. So radius is 16. Now let's add circle whose diameter is 13. Now let's extrude. This time I will use this part, and the width is overall 58. Now let's turn off the temporary axis display. Now let's expand. Same. This time we'll use this inner circle to cut the material. Now on a plane 1, let's create one more sketch. Let's begin with the center line. Let's add a rectangle whose width is 5. Let's make it symmetric about center line. Select this line and make collinear. Similarly, select these convoluted entities and remove the either you can do like this and remove this part. In case dimension get removed, please add again. Now let's go and extrude the cut. Now it's time to add the radii. So let's turn off the display of a plane. Click on fillet. So let's add the radii 5. Select this and make sure you use select this. Make sure all edges are covered. Or you just untick this and try to match the answers. So this is okay. Nothing is left on a bottom part. Now let's add this one. Okay. Similarly on this one, done. Let's click OK. Now to see very clearly, let's add color to the fillet feature. Now compare your answer. Now see, I made a mistake. So this is additional edge get filleted. on both sides. So let's remove it. So take this again to remove it. And click OK. Because this part is having a lot of fillets, so you need to be very careful. So you do not fillet to any wrong side. Now let's find the volume. So it is 436580. Here we have 436581, which is perfectly matched with the given solution.